His complaint is that, and it's the same similar complaint that he's had against several tabloid newspapers, but that over a period of time, that he alleges that not just the News of the World, the Sunday paper, but the Sun, over a period of time, managed to obtain illegal information through phone hacking, through private investigators, through various different ways, but particularly phone hacking, to try to find out his innermost secrets. And while he's longing to get the people who were the head honchos at the Sun, particularly people like Rebecca Brooks, back into court, and he really wants to give the Sun a good kicking if he can possibly stand this up, because he's complaining that dreadful stories about him were published at the time, very lurid sort of things which he's convinced could only have been obtained through phone hacking. Things like, Harry's Night of Lust and all the things about his relationships with his then girlfriends at the start of in the last 20 years or so, people like Chelsea Davy, who was his quite long-standing girlfriend. And I think he's also going to be claiming that it really affected both his relationships and the rest of his family as well in the High Court. Sally,
let me ask you for advice on this, advice on his behalf. If you were an agony aunt, what would you be saying to him? It is a long time ago. I understand his hurt. I understand his sense of outrage and all of this. But, it was the Queen's mantra, don't complain, never explain. And yet he's entering into this again. Is this really going to do him any good? Will this put an end to attacks against him?
I don't think it will. I think the problem is that usually the royal family have taken the moral high ground. They haven't got involved in litigation. They haven't mostly sued because, for one thing, there may well be dreadful things coming out in court. They may have to give evidence, or he may well have to give evidence if this goes from a preliminary hearing actually to a proper court case. And the sad thing is that I just don't think it's going to make things any better. Harry has already made himself pretty unpopular with, as a lot of people see it, throwing his family under a bus. It looks as though he is still perhaps trying to keep his links with England, even though Meghan and he have pretty much upped sticks and seem to be basing their life entirely in California. And it seems to be as though he wants to still keep those links. He also wants to draw attention to the tabloids, and particularly the Sun, that he really loathes. And it looks as though he wants his day in court. And I think it's a sad thing because, for one thing, it won't win him any more friends. I think he wants to draw attention to what he sees as wrongdoing by the tabloids. But I think it's also going to be a terrible distraction from what ought to be a joyous occasion, the King's coronation, just 10 days beforehand. He's then got more cases coming up, a preliminary hearing against the Mirror in May. So it really, I would say to him, let it go, try to make your life, be happy. I just think it's a sad thing. And even if he gets damages, even if he manages to see off the Sun as he hopes to do, along with the actor Hugh Grant, I don't think it's going to make him happier.
Well, he turned up at the last court hearing, didn't he, unexpectedly? There's every chance he might do the same again today. It clearly means a lot to him to be flying across the world, given his views on climate as well, to be doing that probably in a private jet and whizzing back again and then back for the coronation.
I think he's also trying partly to keep himself in the public eye, because he knows that part of his value on the American market is to be seen in public linked to the royal family. I think that may be one reason that he's going to come, however briefly, for the coronation. He obviously also wants to draw attention to as he sees it, the wrongdoing of the Sun. But I think quite a bit of this is keeping himself aligned with the royal family, because that's where so much of his value, so much of his income derives from. But really, at rock bottom, there's this absolute burning resentment against the media in general that he still sees as mainly responsible for his mother's death, even though both he and his mother seem to be only two happy also to exploit the media for their own uses. So it's quite an ambivalent relationship, and slightly a feeling of wanting to run with the hare and hunt with the hounds.
Yeah,
you know,
indeed.
He's only too pleased to use the tabloids when he wants to publicise his memoir Spare, or, you know, to get the kind of profile that allows him to rake in millions in America.
Sally Jones, we have to leave it there.
If there were any phone hacking, a lot of it seems to be almost messing with people's souls. I mean, nobody, particularly someone young and vulnerable, should have to go through that.